Hey, what's up guys? Coach Nate here with Coach Elizabeth. Today we're talking about building running strength with the deadlift. This movement is a fantastic way to build strength in the whole body, specifically in that posterior chain, those valuable hamstrings and glutes that all runners need to run fast. We're gonna break this movement down, do a workout. Let's dig in. Hey, special shout out to Health IQ for bringing this video to you today. If you are not in the know, Health IQ is committed to bringing lower life insurance rates to those who don't really need high life insurance rates, those who are active and those who are healthy. In fact, if you are a member of a gym for a year, a gym such as this, you may qualify for those lower rates. To see if you do, click this link in the video or in the description down below. Don't forget to mention TRE as that promo code when you're talking to a Health IQ professional. Let's dig into those deadlifts. Enter cheesy training joke. Question, Elizabeth, what muscle does the deadlift work?
I don't know, Nate. What muscle does it work?
A little bit of everything. It's not just one. A lot of times people answer just say the hamstrings or just the glutes, and we start to think about strength exercises in one muscle, but really this is a neck down exercise, and it's why it's so valuable for runners, because this improves our posture. It helps really stabilize that midline and that core. It's not just about planks and sit-ups and crunches that really stabilize here. It's this dealing with this external load. It really loads up our hamstrings and our glutes, and it gives us this very specific, helpful skill of how to bend over and pick something up without getting in trouble. Because we don't get in trouble here. We get in trouble when my phone's here and I got grocery bags and I bend and twist in some ugly way. So no ugly twisting. We're gonna get into a little breakdown for a second of this deadlift. I'm gonna walk Elizabeth through how I've walked through hundreds of runners, and you should be able to follow along with this as well. So one of my favorite sections that we get to do here on the Run Experience is the Get Elizabeth Strong series. We've done some different push-ups. We've done like a knee strengthening exercise, getting her to work on a single leg squat. And now we get to go through the deadlift, which is super fun. Now, the deadlift is something that is this technical, kind of geeked out movement you see in the gym and you're like, why do I want to do that? But as I was reiterating in just the previous little clip, it really is just good, safe, strong mechanics for picking up something off the ground, which is really what we're doing. So the way we're going to start with this movement is just by learning how to hinge at the hip, because my ability to hinge at the hip, really, really important. I'm gonna start with my hands on my thighs, good. And the first thing I'm going to do is just push my hips back, run my thighs right along just till they start to pass my knees. And if I do this right, I should start to feel my hamstrings load up a little bit. And just to show you guys from the side, what I'm having Elizabeth do, she's gonna stand up tall, squeeze her belly, squeeze her butt, back in that good posture position. Remember when we squeeze our butt, that locks our pelvis into a nice neutral position. She's just doing this, and if you're doing this following along, you can do the same thing. I'm gonna hinge over at the hip. My back is not rounding over. It's this direction that my hip's pushing back that is causing me to hinge over this way, and then I come back up tall. Now, to get any lower to the ground, all I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna hinge at the hip, push my hip back to the palms past the knee, come on down, good. And then to go any lower, I'm gonna start to bend the knees a little bit till my hands start to go a little bit lower. But what's key is that I keep a little tension back here. So I don't wanna drop my butt too low. I wanna keep those hips up just a little bit. And then I reverse course and I stand, that full thing. Hands past the knee, down to about mid-shin, back and tall. You know you're doing this wrong if you tend to round through at the back this way. So we're avoiding that. Back is nice and straight. Not too bad, right?
Okay.
All right, we'll go on to step 2. So we're actually gonna go into lifting with some implements. And one of our favorite things here is a barbell on the ground, but I could do the same thing with a kettlebell too. I'm gonna show this with the classic barbell. That is the way this lift is classically done. And also, if you can lift this thing with the barbell, you can really do deadlifts with anything, right? With a pair of dumbbells, with a kettlebell, or anything like that. But just to show you again what's happening with this little hip hinge, I have this band here, and what's helpful to understand when we push our hips back, this is what's happening with our posterior chain. Imagine right here, these are my calves, my hamstrings, and my glutes. And if I were to bend with my knees going forward, trying to stay upright, look what happens here. This gets a little slack. Yeah. Not a lot of tension back here. So what we're doing with this hip hinge, guys, is pushing back our hips this way and starting to load this band up. So that's how that position really works for strengthening.
Okay.
So now that you have that sweet little visual, we are gonna go ahead and pick up this barbell. Now, I'm not tricking Elizabeth. We're not gonna worry too much about picking it up off the ground yet, but what I do want her is just to start with this thing up in her hands, and we're gonna go through the same progression we just did. So in terms of my deadlift setup and position, my feet are gonna be about hip width, toes are pointed forward. If you've squatted before, you may notice that your feet are gonna be wider, toes are turned out a little bit, and her grip is gonna be just outside her hips. You can change your grip. There's certain lifts you're gonna go a little wider. There's certain times you could do sumo deadlift and you could lift wide this way, but we're going classic, hands just out the thighs, feet about hip width standing apart.
Do I keep my shoulders forward or back?
You're gonna keep your shoulders pinned back a little bit. Doesn't have to be super hard, especially because we don't have that much weight on the bar. It's not that much weight on the bar, right? You never know. You got to ask these runners every once in a while. But we're going to start here, and we're going to go through the same progression we just did. Now, you know how you had those your thighs, your hands on your thighs the whole time?
Yep.
I want contact with this bar on your thighs the whole time. So all you're going to do is push that bar back just past the knee, hinging, hinging, hinging. Hold. So notice she's doing a great job. Her back's rounded. Head is nice and neutral. Elizabeth is a swimmer, so she knows it's really beneficial to look straight down at the pool. Nice long neck. She's not cranking her head up super high. And then she's going to come back up tall again. Belly's tight and butt is tight. Perfect. Just do 3 more for the lovely folks on YouTube, just so they can see and you can practice. Just to about past the knee, come up tall, and then 1 more, 1 or 2 more. I said 3, right? I can't even count today, guys. My goodness.
Do I leave my arms like that?
Your
That's
arms
as far
are
as they go?
cables. I'm not pulling. I'm not doing anything else. That would just be an additional movement. Okay. So now we're going to go down to about mid-shin because that's where that bar is going to start. So we're going to go here. We're going to hinge, push past the knee. Once I'm there, then I'm going to start to bend my knees a little bit to get down to about mid-shin. But we're thinking about that band. So we have a little tension back there in the hamstrings. A nice setup. Stand up tall. Belly and butt tight, and then just do again 1 or 2 more just so you guys can see. What's really important, guys, is that this back is straight. You feel very comfortable there. Her abs are on, her shoulders are engaged, and she's really hinging at the hip to load those hips as she go. So now we can just put the bar on the ground all the way, and we'll talk about the setup of the deadlift from the ground. So Elizabeth has practiced just with her hands. She's gotten this motion down. She's feeling comfortable there. We've just practiced with the barbell, which weighs about 35 pounds, so she's feeling comfortable with that. Now we're starting to add some weight into the mix. It may seem really hardcore. These plates look big, but feel how heavy this is.
It's very, very heavy.
Not too hard.
Yeah.
She's such a liar. Her voice isn't even straining. Come on. It's 10 pounds. So these things are called Olympic lifting plates. It's what we have here in the gym. And the nice thing, especially for deadlifting, is that all the weights are the same diameter. They're just different widths. And that allows the bar to always be the same height off the ground. But of course, you can use whatever weights you want to do. Just know you might be setting up a little bit lower. So now she has this barbell here. And the biggest mistake that we can make with our deadlift is if we just go down without a lot of thought, right? So we want to think about deadlifting ourselves down to position. So she's going to get herself right up to the bar. Now, this would be kind of a silly thing, but if I'm this far away from the bar, I don't have very good purchase on this thing. So the closer I get this weight to my center of mass, which right now is going to be her feet and her hips, she's going to have much higher success rate, shall we say.
That's what we're going for.
Just what we're going for. So she's targeting her shoelaces right here, bars right over her shoelaces, and she's gonna put her hand on her thighs, and she's gonna go through that same process she just did, hinging at the hip, bending knees a little bit so she goes down to now her hands are on the bar. And notice what she didn't do. She didn't reach for the bar, she didn't bend. And remember this little band exercise she did? I want her to load her hips up, so she's gonna kick her hips up just a little bit. So you start to feel a little tension, feel that. Now we know we're lifting with her legs, not with her back. And then when she's ready, she can stand up with the bar. Stand up tall, belly and butt tight. So 20-pound jump, a little noticeable, right?
Yeah.
And now she's gonna go back down, hips back, knees out, a little bit, touch, and then come back up tall again. Perfect. And then go back down and you can let go of the bar. Excellent. So, how'd that feel?
Felt good.
Not too bad.
No, not bad at all.
With this movement, guys, it is technical. I almost think of it like a golf swing. If I wanted to improve my golf swing, I've used that example. I'm not even a golfer. I'm not even a golfer, Elizabeth, but I like to use it. I'm not going to practice my swing 20 times in a row because that's not going to be the best way to really drill this new motor pattern in. So focus on sets of 1 to 3 reps in the beginning. Now, this is another fun fact where lifting slightly heavier weights is actually going to make you a safer athlete.
How?
The reason why, and we're always afraid as runners of lifting heavier weights, it's not an unreasonable thing to feel. I should be paying attention when I'm lifting something heavier, and if my form and technique is not down and I don't feel confident with it, I shouldn't either. But here's the deal. By going after things that are slightly moderately heavy, I'm paying attention. I'm not talking to my friends, I'm not thinking about the email that I have to write or work. The other thing is that it's giving me a lot more kinesthetic feedback. I know where my body is in space, and I have opportunities to make corrections. If you think about a lot of injuries that runners have, it's due to lack of awareness. Their body's moving in positions that they don't know, and they're just reinforcing these ugly movement patterns. So just by doing this, it makes a big difference, and that's why we like to go after a little bit extra weight. It really gets everything turned on, and you're really gonna pay attention. So in the next piece, we're actually gonna get a little workout in. So I just asked Elizabeth how she felt, and she said, "Oh, I feel good." And
Mistake number one.
Mistake number one. And in my house, when you do that, that means we're gonna add a little bit of weight to the bar. So we got some 10s here. We're gonna load it on up just a little bit more. You guys notice that if you're doing this at home, don't go too crazy too soon. Don't throw 45s on either side unless you feel very comfortable with this movement. Start with 5 and 10 pound plates and work your way up. And then you're gonna stop when you notice that it gets a little bit harder. So she's gonna sit up again.
So laces.
Laces.
For people that are learning like me, laces, hands out.
Mm-hmm. Hinge, hinge, hinge. Remember, load your hips. Feel that little bit of tension. And now we're starting to notice. Yeah. We're like, now this is some weight. So this might be a good place for her. So she's gonna hinge back. Let's just do 3 lefts. Second one, and let's see if we can make the third one as good as the first. Hips up high. There we go. Lift, beautiful. Come down all the way and down. So one of the workouts that I recommend Elizabeth do, and she could add this in once a week, and I'd recommend the same thing for you, would be lifting on some sort of interval. And what I'd recommend to start with is doing 3 deadlifts every minute for 10 minutes. So you're doing a 10-minute strength focused workout, you're getting 30 deadlifts in, you're not doing major sets, you get a little rest in there and you get to go back in. It's a great way to get really focused, to get some good strength, and to stay safe.
Okay, thanks. It's a fun one to try.
Fun one to try, getting Elizabeth strong. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do next, Elizabeth.
Oh, great.
Oh, great. Okay, if you do not have barbells, right, but you wanna do this movement, we can start to play with some different toys. We can have our kettlebell and we have our dumbbells right here. Now, Elizabeth has her kettlebell right here. She's gonna set up actually with this kettlebell between her feet. And this one, it's sometimes helpful to go for a slightly wider stance than she normally would, just because her hands are here. Sometimes if I'm lifting, my hands are normal, I can go narrow. But if I'm gonna be lifting between, I wanna give myself a little more room, so I'm gonna go a little wider position. And she do the same thing. Why don't you flip sideways so the good folks on the YouTubes can see what you're doing. There we go. So she get nice and close. Kettlebell's right between her feet. And just the same process, guys. She's gonna hinge over. Hips are up high, so she's loaded up those hamstrings. Back's nice and straight. She's gonna stand up nice and tall. Belly and butt's tight. And then the same thing on the way back down. With this, you don't have the barbell to reference the knee, but she wants her knuckles to pass the knee before she lets those knees bend forward. Not too bad. Now, dumbbells, I can do the same thing, and we can do something called a suitcase style deadlift. Imagine going through the airport with 2 heavy bags in your hands. That's where these things are gonna lift. The problem with these dumbbells is that they're a lot lower to the ground than the deadlift is. So it's gonna require a little bit more range of motion. These dumbbells are gonna live on the outside. Let's see if we can do this together.
Okay.
So she's gonna step in between the dumbbells. Good, imagine that those are there, and she's gonna deadlift herself down to the position, same thing. Hinge, hinge, hinge. jot down, she's got to find them. So this is where a lot of you guys, if you're limited a little bit of range of motion in the hip and flexion, you might see a little bit of rounding. In that respect, what we're going to do is kind of pick those dumbbells up from, say, like a little bench and then just work from the top down. But she can stand, good. And then in terms of how deep she goes in the deadlift here is going to be more of a function of the range of motion you have.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So she's going to do the same thing, hips back, knees out, come back up tall. Good, hips back, knees out, come back up tall. Same sort of thing as she goes to go through. The danger with all these lifts, the back can start to round. It can get a little squatty, which means that the hips are too low as opposed to getting those hips up a little higher. There we go. That's the position I'm looking for. And we want to be in that squat. It's more familiar, so that's the thing that we always figure out with. So that is lifting with the dumbbells. These are a pair of 35s. We got 70 pounds in there. Good for the grip. We want heavier weights with the deadlift, guys. We want to be up there 75 to 100 pounds, even for most female runners, not at all unreasonable, and I'd love to you guys be in the triple digit range for these lifts. If I'm doing lighter weights and I only have access to 15 or 20 pound dumbbells, work single leg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as opposed to doing the double. But if I really want the benefits of double, I gotta go heavy.
Okay. Triple digits, that's what I'm working up to.
Testing.
Can you hear me? Do I have to yell?
Remember, you may be doing a lot of things right now that is healthy and active that could qualify you for lower life insurance rates with Health IQ. To see if you do, click this link in the video or the link down in the description. Of course, if you like this video, if you like to see Elizabeth get strong, smash that like button for us. Drop any comments below on the type of deadlifting we did today, on the workout we did today, any other workout progressions you have. And of course, subscribe to our channel, guys. We do way more than just strength training. We do injury prevention, nutrition, recipes, run workouts, you name it. We got it, or we'll do it soon. Speaking of, guys, we got to keep filming. We'll catch you in the next video.